So Brennan Johnson, Ryan Yates, Renan Loddy, Dean Henderson the goalkeeper, and two more youngsters, Detlef Asapa Osong, the striker, 18 years of age, and midfielder Ollie Hammond, who's 20, making up the bench for Forest today. They're going to play Forest from left to right in the first half as we look at it. Their supporters all along this stand that we're sitting in, basically split. It's about 3,500 as the players take the knee. 3,500 supporters, and they're in two halves separated by the press seats. So we're about 7 or 8 seats across, right down the middle of the stand, and they're basically using us as a tennis net for the beach ball to go one side and then the other. It's Blackpool who get us underway, which is a long ball down the left-hand side and thrown in quickly as it's knocked out of play, but it's fallen for Gustavo Scarpa to send one forward for Dennis to try and get behind Marvin Ekpiteta at the back, and Ekpiteta just about manages to sneak it away from Emmanuel Dennis, and Blackpool bring it down in midfield. Colback gets his foot in and wins it and tucks it back for Harry Toffolo, and Toffolo sends it all the way back for Wayne Hennessy, who clears from left to right. Ekpiteta gets underneath it and tucks it down to his right. I'll go through the Blackpool side for you in just a moment as the ball is played forward into the feet of Shane Lavery, but Forest win it. Lavery goes down and Colback calmly sends it back to Hennessy. Hennessy bangs it forward first time down the Forest left, and it's over the head of Emmanuel Dennis and out of play for a Blackpool throw midway inside their own half. Chris Maxwell in goal for Blackpool. Andy Lyons is at right back. He's making his debut in place of the suspended Callum Connolly, who was sent off last week for 2 bookable offences against Sunderland. Marvin Ekpiteta, Jordan Thornley and James Husband across the back four. A midfield of Sonny Carey, Ian Poveda, Charlie Patino and Jake Beasley. And then up front, CJ Hamilton, the former Mansfield man, as Forest try and work it down the inside left channel, but Emmanuel Dennis is offside. It'll be a free kick. And Shane Lavery. CJ Hamilton and Shane Lavery really in the wide positions, really, in support of Jake Beasley, who is the tall figure playing through the middle up front for Blackpool today. Charlie Patino, incidentally, on loan from Arsenal, 19 years of age, played against Forest for Arsenal in the third round last year. Here is Maxwell clearing from right to left, 0-0 the score after the opening couple of minutes. Fuster heads forward towards Surridge, headed powerfully away from him by Thornley, and then Cook heads it to his left for McKenna. Fuster gets a touch, hooking it over his shoulder, headed forward again by Blackpool, and Williams tries to bring it down, but CJ Hamilton takes it away from him. Then Williams wins it back, and it'll be another throw for Blackpool, which is about 25 yards out down there near side to us, the left. Most of that touchline on this near side, either side of us, is completely obscured by all the Forest fans standing up. It's thrown in towards Beasley, but Forest are able to get it clear, and that's a lovely turn from Scarpa, who then rides the challenge as they try and foul him, and eventually he's stopped by the second attempt to bring him down, and that was from Ian Poveda, and that will be a free kick for Forest. Nice control and turn from Gustavo Scarpa.
Yeah, good start from him. He's had a couple of nice touches. He'll be wondering what this weather's all about, coming from Brazil, and he just it's gone down about 5 or 6 degrees since we got here. Yeah, it's been a scrappy start, both sides getting into tackles, into headers. Forest just feeling the way. Obviously this team want to play together for a long time, and it just takes a little while just to settle into a rhythm, but it's been decent so far. Not had any problems. Couple of back passes to Hennessy, other than that, no problems.
Harry Toffolo just plays it off the new fullback Andy Lyons, the Irishman. Forest throw, left-hand side, and now Toffolo has broken forward down that left wing. He's up level with the edge of the Blackpool penalty area and fires over the cross, which is stabbed away. Dennis controls on the edge of the penalty area, beats one, running across the edge of the box, now knocks it to his right for Nico Williams, 20 yards out. Williams leaves it now for Colback. Colback turns onto his left foot and rolls it across the Blackpool half for O'Brien. Keeps it going left-hand side. This is Toffolo. Tucks it back infield for Scarpa. Gives it back to Toffolo. Toffolo beats his man and is fouled. It's a late challenge from Andy Lyons, 22 years of age. Signing from Bohemians of Dublin in the summer and has had to be patient. And it'll be a free kick for Gustavo Scarpa, who is going to take it from the left-hand side. It is about 35 yards out and it is right on the far touchline, Forest's left-hand side. Line of players on the edge of the Blackpool penalty area, including the likes of Cook and McKenna up from the back. And it is aimed towards McKenna back post by Scarpa, but it's plucked out of the air comfortably by Chris Maxwell. Didn't reach those big men up at the back post. Couple of early goals in the FA Cup third round in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Burnley in front over Bournemouth down on the south coast. Bournemouth 0, Burnley 1. So the Championship high flyers off to a good start against the Premier League team, and West Brom in front against Chesterfield by 1-0. Elsewhere locally, no goals. Mansfield Barrow is on 95.5 FM this afternoon, and in the National League it's Aldershot 0, Notts County 0. You'll find that game online at the BBC Sport website, or follow our links off Twitter. Here come Blackpool towards the edge of the Forest penalty area, cleared by McKenna, but Blackpool have it again. This is Lyons well forward, level with the edge of the box, crossing, headed away by Williams, only as far as Husband, and he gives it to CJ Hamilton. Hamilton with the cross, in towards the near post. Cook heads it away, nodded back in again. Beasley controlling it with his back to goal, gives it Husband. Husband shoots just wide of the target, across the face of goal. Forest a little bit statuesque at the back, and Husband allowed to get in behind, and from about the corner of the 6-yard box he hit it right across the face of goal, with Hennessy rooted to the spot. And fortunately for the Reds, it goes just wide of the back post.
Yeah, it should be goal down. They should stick that in the far side. Hennessy, as you say, rooted. He didn't look as if he knew just where he was going on. There was some poor defending by Forest in their own area, not really getting a really positive, solid header on it, just heading it up into the air. And then Husband just went past as if nobody was there, and had a shot with his left foot, just dragged it a yard wide of the far post. But a warning for Forest, this isn't going to be an easy game, and they've just got to defend a little bit better than that, have a bit more commitment on heading the ball out the area.
Charging forward again now Blackpool. This is Lyons, who's wide on the right, and he's tucked it back for Sonny Carey, who crosses in towards the near post aimed at Beasley, but Hennessy claims and rolls it out to Fuster. Fuster kind of gets the ball stuck under his feet though, and it's won back by Patino, and now towards the edge of the penalty area goes in Poveda, and he lays it off to his left, just outside the penalty area, left wing for Husband. Gives it back to Poveda, who crosses deep, and that is going to go beyond Shane Lavery and out for a throw on the far side to Forest. Just a bit of a spell for Blackpool. 7.5 minutes played, 0-0, and hooked forward down Forest left by Toffolo. Comes back to O'Brien, who brings it down and gives it to Scarpa. Out to the right-hand side for Nico Williams. Williams rolls it infield to Fuster, and Fuster turns the ball back for Steve Cook inside his own half. Square for McKenna across halfway, and rolls it towards the feet of Dennis, who gets a nice touch on it ahead of the defender Ekpiteta, turns away from him, bangs it in low looking for Surridge, but it is cleared at the near post. Colback wins it back, might fall for Scarpa in the middle of the Blackpool half. Knocked away though, Colback wins it back once more, and now O'Brien wide to the left hand side for Toffolo, well forward. Toffolo gives it square to Dennis at the corner of the penalty area, and now here's Dennis, outnumbered in the end by Blackpool players. A back pass towards their goalkeeper Chris Maxwell, almost cut out by Sam Surridge, and cleared by the home side. Fuster gets a challenge in, and Husband goes back to recover for Blackpool. Back it goes to Maxwell again, who's all in luminous yellow kit and clearing left-footed. Just about kept in play, and then Nico Williams wins it and runs away from them towards the edge of the penalty area. Williams still going on, left foot shot, dragged just wide of the target. Powerful run from Nico Williams, who won it near the halfway line and was just encouraged to run on and infield and infield. Got to the edge of the box, but his left foot shot goes just wide as he pulled it low past the post, and it remains 0-0 after 9 minutes.
Yeah, it just looks as if he might have got his shot off a fraction earlier. Decided to try and take another yard, just got a nudge which put him off balance as he broke in. It looked good pace there, got past a couple of Blackpool players.
Mistake on the edge of the box by Ekpiteta, who is fouled, according to referee James Linnington, by Emmanuel Dennis.
Yeah, trying to play out from the back there. Dennis nearly nicked in. But Williams there showed good pace to get forward, not frightened to have a go. He ended up dragging it 3 or 4 yards wide. But, yeah, good play from Forest to get the ball into that position.
Chesterfield have equalised against West Brom elsewhere in the third round of the Cup. It's 1 apiece in that one, and Brighton are in front early against Championship side Middlesbrough. Here come Blackpool of the Championship in the relegation zone in the Championship. 22nd, Patino turning it wide to the right hand side and rolled infield towards the penalty area by Lavery, but not accurately enough. And here is Toffolo sending a long one forward left side. He's looking to get Surridge in behind Marvin Ekpiteta, and the 27-year-old defender turns it back to his goalkeeper, and now it's with James Husband, former Norwich man, left hand side, rolling it infield to Jordan Thornley, who drops it into midfield. And this is Sonny Carey. Came to Blackpool out of non-league football at Kings Lynn. Late challenge by Lewis O'Brien on the far side on Lyons, and it'll be a free kick for Blackpool. It is it's a pretty typical cup tie so far, isn't it? No team is really able to get the ball down and get their foot on it.
No, there's not been a lot of quality. There's been a lot of huff and puff and sort of misplaced headers and loose balls and all the sort of things you would expect of this sort of game. Nobody's had any real chances yet. Well, Blackpool did, but they didn't take it. No, it's been rather scrappy.
Here comes CJ Hamilton, the former Mansfield man, running towards the left edge of the Forest box. Turns it towards goal, and it's blocked by Steve Cook, and it'll go out for a corner to Blackpool. Equaliser now for Bournemouth against Burnley. They are level at 1 apiece. National League side Boreham Wood behind to Accrington Stanley in the early stages. And Stephen McLaughlin scored for Mansfield Town against Barrow on our 95.5 FM commentary. Here comes the Blackpool corner, straight down the throat of Wayne Hennessy. That's easy. Forest, though, have a man down. The quarter blow, I think it's Steve Cook, face down in the turf, getting slowly back up to his feet. Well, certainly to his knees and now to his feet. And head bowed, gets back up again and seems to be okay without needing any treatment, just holding his chest or neck area. But seems okay, and Forest restart with a drop ball at the feet of Wayne Hennessy. Remains 0-0.
He's obviously struggling. He's had a smack in the chest, I think, from somebody just hitting him from the corner, and he's had the ball more now. Yeah. He's struggling. He's holding his chest. He didn't want the ball, and everybody's passed it to him.
He's had it 3 times. Scarpa and Surridge linking up inside the Blackpool half now, and Scarpa has it wide right, level with the edge of the box, fires over the cross towards Surridge, headed away from him, comes out though for Dennis, gets away from one challenge, but then Husband sticks a foot in and lobs it back to his goalkeeper, who claims and clears it out quickly to Shane Lavery down the right hand side. Challenge coming in from Lewis O'Brien, who was covering for Toffolo, and it's out for a Blackpool throw. 0-0 it remains, 13.5 minutes played on match day from BBC Radio Nottingham in the FA Cup third round. And here come Blackpool down their right hand side. It is cleared by Harry Toffolo. Surridge trying to keep it in play. Ekpiteta makes sure he can't, but the efforts from Surridge mean that it'll be a Forest throw rather than a Blackpool one near halfway. Just 5 or 6 yards or so inside Forest's own half. Thrown in towards Dennis twisting and turning, and in the end lays it back into his own half for Steve Cook. Cook comes across the halfway line and then tries to thread it in behind Thornley for Dennis, who continued his run, but Thornley was watching and cleared to Husband, who knocks it long towards Beasley. It's gone over him, but it falls for CJ Hamilton towards the edge of the Forest box. Right foot shot blocked by McKenna, and that'll spin away for another Blackpool corner, this time from the far side, their right.
Yeah, just a long ball down the side and a flicked header. All of a sudden Hamilton's in, and he's got a little bit of pace, but Brian, I think it was, got back at him just with a block. And as Forest has seen in the Premier League, very, very quickly going from attack to defence.
Charlie Patino goes across to take the corner, in swinging near post. Surridge gets up and gets a good header away. Comes out towards Dennis. He loses out, and it's headed back towards Patino, right wing for Blackpool. Foot in from Fuster, wins it well and goes chasing after it. Left wing still just inside his own half, tried to feed it infield to Scarpa, but it's cut out. And here's Charlie Patino once again. He gives it to Shane Lavery down the right-hand side, blocked by a combination of Toffolo and O'Brien. Toffolo clears towards Dennis, who shoved his man fairly obviously, and that's going to be a free kick for Blackpool, which is about 15 yards inside Forest's half and to the right of centre. Elsewhere, Mansfield leading Barrow 1-0 through Stephen McLaughlin in League 2, and still 0-0 between Aldershot and Notts County in our online commentary this afternoon through the BBC Sport website. Mansfield Barrow is on 95.5 FM. From the home of live Nottinghamshire sport, here is the Blackpool free kick. Floated towards the back edge of the penalty area, headed away by McKenna. Colback trying to get away from CJ Hamilton. Hamilton looked as if he was holding him, and now is racing away down the left wing. CJ Hamilton hits the byline, stands it up towards the back post, goes beyond everybody, and O'Brien has headed it back into the penalty area, and then it's put home, and Blackpool are in front. Marvin Ekpiteta scores. Mistake by O'Brien at the back post, and Marvin Ekpiteta just stabs the loose ball in and gives the Championship side the lead after 16 minutes. It's Blackpool 1, Forest 0 in the FA Cup third round. There was no danger because the cross was too long, it was too deep, it was beyond everybody in an orange shirt. And Lewis O'Brien, almost inexplicably, just headed it back across the face of his own goal. And from there, Forest were struggling, and the loose ball bundled in by Marvin Ekpiteta, and it's 1-0 Blackpool.
Well, no more than Forest deserve that, because they're not defended well. I think I mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. Yeah, they got getting serious headers on the ball, heading it back into dangerous areas, and that's exactly what happened there. And they couldn't get a block on once the ball dropped around the penalty spot and stuck away into the side netting. Forest 1 down. There's been nothing in the game up to there, but they haven't defended well, and yeah, big mistake. Sort of let Blackpool in very, very easily. Got round the back very, very easily. Actually, Hamilton stuck the ball up at the far post, and that was all a little bit too easy
and unnecessary. And just head it out the other way.
Well,
there's nobody behind him. Maybe he didn't get a shout. Maybe he thought there was somebody behind him, I guess.
Yeah, there's nobody. You just bring the ball down and play your way out, but not to be. So Forest have got a lot to do now.
It is going to be a Forest throw on the left-hand side, which is going to be taken by Harry Toffolo, but not from there. He has to go back. As West Brom take the lead again at Chesterfield. Long ball forward from Blackpool again, which is going all the way through to Wayne Hennessy. Chesterfield 1, West Bromwich Albion 2. Middlesbrough have equalised against Brighton as well. It's 1-1. And here Forest trail Blackpool by 1-0, but Emmanuel Dennis goes chasing after one down the left wing, gets to the ball and holds it up. He's taking on Thornley, and he hits the byline as the overlapping run comes from Harry Toffolo, but the ball is just too far ahead of Toffolo. He can't keep it in play, and it's out for a goal kick for Blackpool. And Chris Maxwell prepares to take from our right-hand side, away at the Mortensen stand end. Statue of Stan Mortensen outside the ground. Stanley Matthews stand on the far side, and the Jimmy Armfield stand away to our left-hand side. Plenty of history, and FA Cup history at that, about this club. And they lead Forest by 1-0 after 19 minutes. Here's McKenna, forward into the feet of Dennis, who tried to leave it for Scarpa, but taken away from him by Charlie Patino. And now this is Thornley, and he gives it to Ekpiteta, the goal scorer, out wide to the right for Lyons, who drops it infield for Sonny Carey. Ekpiteta gives it to Thornley again. Thornley away to the right-hand side, and now here's Lyons getting a ball into his stride and obviously pushed by Emmanuel Dennis, and it gives Blackpool another free kick. This one is about 30 yards out and right of centre, and another chance for Blackpool to get the ball into the Forest penalty area. Another needless foul, really.
He gives a lot of fouls away, Dennis, doesn't he, that, as you say, are needless. And sometimes you just got to track players. I think if I was Steve Cooper, I'd say to him, just stay up on the halfway line. He's given 2 or 3 free kicks away now in potentially dangerous positions, and this is another one for Forest to defend.
It's from the right-hand side, about 30 yards out. Carey delivers back post. Ekpiteta had gone down though on the edge of the penalty area. He and Scott McKenna close together, and the referee having a word with McKenna about being over physical, and that means that Carey will have the opportunity to take the free kick again. And as referee walks away, so Ekpiteta and McKenna start shoving each other again as soon as his back's turned. Here's the delivery once again towards the back post. It might come all the way through. They're appealing for offside, and they've got it eventually as the assistant's flag goes up on the far side, right behind a stanchion, a pillar from where we're sitting. And so Forest get the free kick and take it from nowhere near where the free kick should have been. Steve Cook pinching about 10 yards. Blackpool leading Forest by 1-0 as we approach the halfway mark at the first half here at Bloomfield Road on match day from BBC Radio Nottingham. Still Mansfield 1, Barrow 0, thanks to Stephen McLaughlin's goal, and 0-0 between Aldershot and Notts County in the National League. Lofted forward left side for Emmanuel Dennis, gets to the ball, and he was second favourite. He's done well, holds it up, rolls it infield to O'Brien. O'Brien square for Fuster. Fuster tucks it to the right for Nico Williams. Went slightly behind him off a deflection. Williams cuts infield, gives it back to O'Brien, 35 yards out. Scarpa twists and turns and gives it to Fuster again. Fuster being forced away from goal by Husband, but still manages to turn it right-hand side for Williams. Has to roll it back infield for Fuster, and Forrester happy to go back to halfway and start again with a long diagonal from Cook for Toffolo, who heads it back into play to O'Brien. O'Brien closed down by a combination of players and loses out, but then Colback wins it back, and it's a really good clearance into Dennis inside the penalty area, but left side. He's holding on to it, trying to find the shooting angle. Oh, he's hit the crossbar, Emmanuel Dennis, as he curls one right-footed from about 12 yards out at the left side of the penalty area. It's a good effort from Dennis, just twisting, turning, sidestepping players to get the shooting angle and curling one onto the bar before Blackpool clear out for a Forest throw. Here's Nico Williams, right wing with Fuster in support. Williams gives it to Scarpa, 30 yards out towards the centre of the field. He gives it to O'Brien, back to goal, and goes backwards for Steve Cook once again. Cook rolls it into Surridge, who's turning on the edge of the box, lays it off now for Scarpa. Scarpa onto his right foot, shoots, goalkeeper saves straight at him from about 22 yards. But that's better from Forest.
Yeah, good spell from Forest, and that's what Dennis can do. He's not had a lot of luck at Forest with certainly getting into goal scoring situations. He does well, he has good feet, but sort of lets things go to a little bit late and doesn't just pick the right pass. But he had a nice little bendy there and hit the crossbar, came out, and good play, kept the ball in possession on this side. Scarpa eventually getting a shot on target, quite a tame one, but all the same, it's a shot on target. It's got the Forest crowd going a little bit.
Cleared by Cook and kept in play by Surridge, who gives it to Scarpa. Scarpa making tracks through the Blackpool half and gives it back to Surridge. Surridge knocks it one side of his man, goes round the other and then blasts it into the side netting from an angle. Dennis looking for a pullback, but there was only one thing Surridge was ever going to do from that angle. But unusually for him, he's not been able to hit the target. He's not been able to find the finish. Just wide of the right-hand post as he runs in from the inside right channel and into the side netting. Remains 1-0 Blackpool.
Yeah, absolutely. Took the hard option there, trying to just nick it into the near post. Emmanuel Dennis has stood on his own on the middle of the 6-yard box just to push the ball across. But good play. Surridge brought the ball down on the halfway line, and he had his own little bit of skill to get into the area. Nice little flick, past the defender, followed it through. And all he had to do really was take the goalkeeper out of the decision and just cross it in. Dennis was stood waiting for it. He's not the happiest man on the field at the moment, but Surridge is a striker and he got himself into a good position, and he only had one thing in his mind, that was to try and score, but he took the hardest option, which unfortunately for him didn't come off.
There's 3 times in a couple of minutes Forest have almost got themselves level. Dennis hitting the bar, Scarpa shot fairly tame in the end, straight at the goalkeeper, and then Surridge working the opportunity well for himself. Here's Scarpa winning it again, gives it O'Brien just on the halfway line now for Fuster. Fuster waiting for the run of Williams, but he's well tracked by CJ Hamilton. Now gives it to Williams, rolls it infield to O'Brien, back to halfway for Cook. Under pressure from Jake Beasley, former Rochdale man. He turns it to his left as Cook for McKenna. Across into the Blackpool half goes McKenna, running forward, gives it now the defeat of Dennis. Dennis away from one man and leaping towards the penalty area again, takes on another, goes outside him, hits the byline, tries to pull it across. Too many tangerine shirts back, but Forest win it again. Fuster turns it towards goal, and off a deflection it's saved by Chris Maxwell, diving away to his right. Forest turning it on now, having gone behind. They're finding the response and they're knocking on Blackpool's door.
Yeah, they're starting to get it together, and most of it's coming from Emmanuel Dennis down that left-hand side. Looks dangerous. He's got the makings of the Blackpool defenders on that side, definitely. And he got to the byline, blocked in, and Fuster just managed to get onto the loose ball and produced a decent save from Maxwell there. But Forest playing a little bit better. It's been a scrappy game, but they're starting to turn their superiority, which it should be, being a Premier League side, and trying to just turn it on a little bit.
Here's O'Brien just inside his own half, finding Toffolo. Toffolo gives it back to Lewis O'Brien down the left-hand side. He's closed down his Toffolo by Ian Poveda, and back it comes to halfway from the Forest throw. As a flock of seagulls goes across Bloomfield Road, and Forest played across their back line, and now forward from Cook into Fuster's feet, lays it off for Lewis O'Brien once again. Here's Billy Fuster, the 19-year-old, switching it out to the right-hand side for Williams. Williams thinking about the early cross, now is going to take on CJ Hamilton. Turns, checks out and turns it back along the line for Scarpa. Rolls it infield to Fuster. Fuster for O'Brien. O'Brien, though, loses out to Ian Poveda and then has to drag him back, and it'll be a free kick for Blackpool in the middle of their own half. Mansfield are now 2-0 ahead over Barrow in our 95.5 FM commentary. Stephen Quinn with the second, as here come Blackpool again, well forward down the Forest left-hand side. Roll backwards for Poveda, who is under pressure from Colback, goes down, gets back up again with the ball still at his feet, now taking on O'Brien and manages to cross, but behind for a goal kick. So Mansfield 2, Barrow 0, Stephen McLaughlin and Stephen Quinn on target for the Stags. Still 0-0 between Aldershot and Notts County, and Blackpool here leading Forest by 1-0. Goal scored after 16 minutes, and it came from Marvin Ekpiteta. Elsewhere, Sheffield United now in front at Millwall by 1-0 in the third round of the Cup. Here's McKenna out to the left-hand side for Toffolo, and sent back to goalkeeper Hennessy. Now Steve Cook up towards halfway, into the feet of Fuster, who turns and gives it to Nico Williams. Williams wriggling between two challenges, then riding another, and it's cleared into midfield where Gustavo Scarpa gets hold of it and pings a ball away to the left-hand side for Toffolo. Chests it down near the corner flag, hooks over a cross. Surridge trying to get to it, couldn't do so. Headed clear. And then Colback wins it back cleverly, just getting his body in between ball and opposition player. And now McKenna sends a ball out wide to the right-hand side. He's looking for Williams. Williams couldn't control. Just bounced awkwardly for Nico Williams. And it's away for a throw to Blackpool, level with the edge of their own penalty area.
Yeah, two centre-halves getting into the stride now. They haven't played for a little while. Picking one or two nice passes out. That was a decent pass. Williams had just checked his run. He thought the ball was going out the other side, I think. That just left him a yard short of getting that ball and couldn't just get to the bounce of it. But Forest midfield all looking very, very similar, aren't they, actually, the stature and the way that they play. And young Fuster's not done too badly. He's got the ball, he looks confident. He's zipped the ball out nicely. Those players are in and around him. And a good experience for him to play with Colbeck and O'Brien at either side of him.
It's headed on by Scarpa towards Surridge. He's absolutely buffeted from behind by Thornley. Forest have won a throw anyway, but Surridge wanted a free kick, and as you can hear, so did the fans. James Linnington having none of it. Notts County have gone 1-0 ahead. Jim O'Brien has scored, so Mansfield and Notts now in front. Mansfield 2 up over Barrow, and Notts County winning at Aldershot. Jim O'Brien on target for Notts this afternoon. Surridge goes chasing after it again. Again, Thornley is pretty hefty in his challenge, leaning onto Surridge and pushing him out into touch. And Surridge is being called to the referee. So too is Thornley. I think out of view from us, actually, because of the standing Forest fans. I think Surridge has probably given Thornley a little shove back. I think he's getting a bit frustrated, Sam Surridge, because that looked like 2 fouls on him by the same player in quick succession.
I would agree with you there, Colin. I think there was just the Blackpool player was trying to see the ball out of play, and Sturridge just nicked in front of him. He just pushed him. Not a bit dangerous around here just to push him off the pitch, because the edge of the pitch is not very near the hoardings and whatever. So I think there was a little bit of afters in there, and that's going to be just the referee's just going to keep his eye on that one. I think I'd say Surridge just getting a little bit frustrated at not getting himself a foul in there.
O'Brien lofts it forward towards Dennis, headed away by Ekpiteta, nodded forward again by Fuster, headed on by Scarpa. Dennis trying to nick it away from Marvin Ekpiteta, who has to slide in the end. He thought he had it under control, and in the end it was pretty desperate as he tucked it out for a throw, which Forest have worked nicely. Here's Toffolo getting the return ball and crossing, headed away as far as Scarpa, who hits it, deflects twice, I think. It goes behind for a corner to Forest, who are going through the gears here at Blackpool, but trail by a goal to nil.
Yeah, well, they have to go through the gears because it wasn't really great, was it, early on? They struggled to find any rhythm, but they seem to have found a little bit now.
32 played. Scarpa with the corner, left wing, out swinging. Kind of goes behind everybody, really, and it's fairly easy for Blackpool to clear. And Colback trying to get to that first and did a really good job. He had to get there, and he has, and now he crosses himself early into the penalty area. Ekpiteta stretches and takes it away from his goalkeeper and apologises, and Forest will have another corner. That was brilliant from Colback, because if he hadn't got to that clearance from Blackpool, there were 3 charging at him.
He was off. If he caught one, yeah. If he missed the ball. In fact, I think the Blackpool player did him a big favour. I think he sort of saw Jack coming and went, no, don't fancy it.
Scarpa with the corner again, this time into the near post, headed away, back to Scarpa, who brings it down, quickly closed down. It'll go out for a Forest throw. Scarpa wanting to get on with it, wanting to take the throw, but actually decides he's going to leave it for Harry Toffolo. 33 minutes played, 1-0 to Blackpool, but Forest have had plenty of opportunities since they fell behind. That's not the best of crosses though from Toffolo, and is easily cleared by Carey. Bangs it long down the field, all the way through in the end to Wayne Hennessy. Hennessy gives it to Cook, and Cook out to the right hand side for Nico Williams. Infield to Fuster on halfway, and he gives it back to Williams and back to Cook inside his own half. Blackpool 1, Forest 0. Start of a busy week on BBC Radio Nottingham Sport over the next few days. Plenty of football coming up for you. Here's Toffolo, left-hand side, into the feet of Surridge, just inside the box. He backheels to O'Brien, sets it up for Scarpa to shoot, deflected into the path of Williams. Great save by Maxwell, diving away to his right. That was goal-bound from Nico Williams. It looked like it was going in, and Maxwell dived to his right and gets it clear with a parry, and Blackpool clear, and it's well won again by Colback. And here's Williams, little ball into the penalty area, looking for Dennis. Down goes the defender, and that'll be a free kick. Thornley it is, who's been clattering into Sam Surridge over the last 5 minutes, gets a little tug from Dennis, goes down, and it's going to be a free kick to Blackpool. Good effort from Nico Williams, good save by the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was. Both of those. Ball fell kindly. Williams ran onto it, hit it very, very sweet. Nice height for the goalkeeper, and just inside the post. And he managed to just take a step in and get a strong hand on it. And the ball was ricocheting around, and unfortunately for Dennis, he just laid too much of a glove on the centre half, and he fell over, and that just lost their momentum a little bit. But a lot better from Forest. People taking a little bit more responsibility with the ball. And hopefully they can get the ball forward, because Dennis certainly got the measure of it, and Surridge is having a really good game, causing problems all over the pitch.
So Blackpool 1, Forest 0. It's Mansfield 2, Barrow 0 on 95.5 FM on our internet commentary this afternoon at the BBC Sport website. It's Aldershot 0, Notts County 1 as McKenna loses his way here, and Blackpool race forward right side. Cross comes in near post, blocked by Cook, away from Beasley, but hits O'Brien and goes behind for a Blackpool corner. Blackpool haven't done much towards the Forest goal since they scored after 16 minutes, but here they are with another opportunity from a set piece. Patino walks across to take it. Elsewhere in the Cup, Sheffield United now 2-0 up against Millwall. Brighton back in front against Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough 1, Brighton 2. And Chesterfield have equalised against West Brom again. That's 2-2. Here's Patino with the corner in towards the near post, and Surridge gets up, heads it away, comes out for Carey, but it's blocked by Scarpa, and Carey has to go all the way back into his own half, and Husband goes all the way back to Maxwell, the goalkeeper, who clears right-footed, sliced out into touch. So Forest end up with the ball back. Fulham have just gone in front as well at Hull. Hull City 0, Fulham 1. Here, Forest a goal down. Here's O'Brien switching it out to the right-hand side for Williams. Just a few yards into the Blackpool half, but as he controls it, comes back into his own half. 8 minutes to go until half-time. Steve Cook, captain's armband, waving players away from him, and then turns it to his left and slightly backwards for McKenna, who finds O'Brien on halfway. Not a good ball, but O'Brien gets a second chance at it as Lavery knocked it away from Toffolo. Now Colback looking for the feet of Dennis, but Epiteta gets to it first. And here is Lyons. Toffolo gets a foot in. Blackpool still have it though. This is Sonny Carey. Gives it back to Lyons. Good tackle this time by O'Brien. And it goes out for what James Linnington says will be a Blackpool throw. Andy Lyons to take. And QPR now in front at Fleetwood as well, just down the road, up the coast. Blackpool wanting another free kick for a foul on Beasley. Nothing doing this time, and Forest have it. And this is Colback. Colback across into Blackpool territory and knocks it wide right for Williams. Williams holds it up halfway inside the Blackpool half, turns it backwards for Fuster, and back to halfway for Cook. Goals flying in the Cup. Burnley now leading again at Bournemouth by 2-1. Scarpa tries to help this on quickly to Williams. Foot in from Husband, goes out for a throw, which Williams takes 35 yards out, throws it backwards for Scarpa. Scarpa switches play to the left-hand side. He's looking for Toffolo, but I think he's asking too much of him this time. He is, and Lyons just lets it run out for a throw to Blackpool. 10 yards from the corner flag. Now he's told to go a little bit further back. The home sections of Bloomfield Road are not suggesting that cup fever or the visit of Forest have particularly interested the Blackpool fans. Not having a good season, 3 home wins here all season. In the Championship relegation zone, as I mentioned earlier, haven't won for the last 9 games. And so there's plenty of empty orange seats in the 3 stands around the ground. Not so in the away section, where 3,500 Forest fans are making plenty of noise. Scarpa is bundled into by Patino, and it'll be a free kick for Forest, 10 yards inside the Blackpool half, maybe a bit further than that, and left of centre. Just carries it a little bit further forward, Scarpa, and rolls it square to Nico Williams. Williams lofts one down the inside left channel. Dennis gets up, wins the first header. Toffolo looking for the second, but it's headed away from him at the expense of another corner.
Clever little ball in there, just a little flick over the top. And Toffolo couldn't just come down for him in time. But better, Scarpa having a nice little influence on the game at the moment. See if his corner can produce something.
Scarpa takes the corner in towards the near post. Surridge flicks it towards goal. It's comfortably caught by Maxwell, straight at him from the angle. And it's remaining 1-0 to Blackpool. Fleetwood equaliser straight away against QPR. Fleetwood 1, QPR 1 in the FA Cup 3rd round this afternoon. Goals flying in. Forest could do with one. At least one. And they've come close with Dennis hitting the bar, Scarpa having an effort, Surridge round the last man and into the box to fire into the side netting. Fuster's deflected shot saved. Nico Williams' shot dealt with well again by Chris Maxwell, the Blackpool goalkeeper. So Forest have had their opportunities as Scarpa looks to win the ball again just inside his own half, but loses out. He was double teamed actually. There were 2 Blackpool players, and now here's James Husband, 10 yards inside the Forest half. And now that's given away, and Dennis on halfway scampers forward through the Blackpool half and is brought down by Ian Poveda, and on loan from Leeds. Dragged down Dennis after an errant pass had seen Emmanuel Dennis just pick up the loose ball, and it'll be a free kick Forest about halfway inside the Blackpool half and right of centre. And Gustavo Scarpa stands over it. Chesterfield 3, West Brom 2 now in the FA Cup. That's not a bad first half, is it? Here's Scarpa. He's firing one in towards the back post, and there's no touch, or if there was, it was only a very faint touch from Steve Cook, who was the target. Fizzed in from Scarpa. And I'm not sure Cook got anything on it. If he did, it was the faintest of glances, and it goes behind for a goal kick.
He has shown some nice delivery, hasn't he? And that was a real whip into that far post area, and Cook just ran away from him fractionally. Probably the nearest that Forest have been for 5 or 10 minutes. The game's quieting down a little bit again, but hopefully between now and half-time they can just have a little spell, Forest, and try and get something back before half-time.
McKenna has to send this one back, and it's cleared first time by Hennessy. Patino underneath it wins the header, but it goes out for a Forest throw. Just a couple of minutes to go until half-time. Williams takes it just inside his own half to Scarpa. Scarpa looks for crossfield ball out towards the left-hand side. It's a good ball to Toffolo. Toffolo gives it to Dennis, who's wide left, level with the edge of the Blackpool penalty area. Jinks outside, away from one, at the corner of the box. Rolls it into Lewis O'Brien, but O'Brien can't get it under control. Maybe it was just too far ahead of him, and it goes through to Chris Maxwell once again.
Just that final decision, that final little pass, letting Forest down in a great position there. Players getting into around the box, O'Brien making the run, but the pass just couldn't find him.
Burnley have now got a 3rd goal. Bournemouth 1, Burnley 3. As Nico Williams goes back and defends inside his own half, but he then loses out, having won it. He lost it to CJ Hamilton, but now Fuster is challenged. Ball breaks free for O'Brien. Then they need Colback as well to help out. Colback running between challenges and then catches Husband. He overran it did Colback in the end, and then he's caught Husband, who's gone over and over and over as he rolls, but now he's getting back to his knees and he's going to be okay. And he did catch him, Jack Colback, and he's going to get a yellow card in the last minute of the first half.
Yeah, we've seen that before. Jack just overran it and kept going, didn't he? Just didn't give it up. Times when you just got to just stop yourself. You know you're going to get booked. You know you can't get to the ball, and that could potentially, I would say, if you were in the Premier League, that could potentially be a sending off as a reckless studs up tackle. So you just have to be careful. You have to learn. Sometimes you have to pull out of tackles, and it's not easy when it's not your nature to do that. But yeah, just got a yellow card, Colback. But, yeah, Forest have just gone off the ball a little bit. They've had a couple of spells in this first half where they've looked a really nice team. They've passed the ball around nicely, and there have been times when they've looked defensively particularly distinctly average, and they got caught out on one of those for the Blackpool goal.
It's like Scarpa is pushed, but the referee waves play on, and Husband, who's perfectly okay, sends one down the left-hand side. CJ Hamilton fizzes across through the Forest box, and it goes right through the Forest box and out into touch on the far side for Harry Toffolo to take a throw about 10 yards from his corner flag. 90 seconds remaining of stoppage time, only playing 2 minutes of added time in this first half, as O'Brien loses out in midfield. Lyons sends it forward to Lavery, right side for Blackpool. It's blocked by Toffolo and spins out for a Blackpool corner. Second goal here for Blackpool just before half-time would give Forest much hard work to do in the second half. Across goes Charlie Patino to take said corner from Blackpool's right-hand side. They lead 1-0 in stoppage time at the end of the first half. Patino, left-footed towards the back post, over everybody. CJ Hamilton chases after it and keeps the ball in play though near the corner flag, where it goes completely out of our view. Battles going on near that corner flag. It's sent back to Ian Poveda. Left edge of the penalty area, rolls it back towards Carey. Good foot in from Scarpa. Then Surridge battling for it as well. Sent wide right though for Blackpool. Knocked down the inside right channel, hits the byline, does Carey, and it needs McKenna to make the challenge. That's as good a sequence as Blackpool have put together in the first half. Nice passing. Men in down the channels. Forest stretched, and it results in another corner. The Jimmy Armfield stand end away to our left-hand side. Charlie Patino to put the cross in again. Hennessy comes and claims, and it's a good claim over a crowd of bodies, and that is the last action of the first half. And Blackpool go in leading by a goal to nil. A goal scored by Marvin Ekpateta, but the assist really came from Lewis O'Brien. A cross was drifting harmlessly beyond everybody, and O'Brien at the back post, almost inexplicably heading back across the face of his own goal. And then Marvin Ekpateta fired in from about 10 yards out to give Blackpool the lead after a scrappy first 16 minutes. There'd been maybe a chance at either end for Husband for Blackpool and for Nico Williams at the other end. But after Forest had gone behind, there were plenty of opportunities carved out by Forest. Emmanuel Dennis' shot from the left of the penalty area curling onto the crossbar. Scarpa with an effort from just outside the box straight at the keeper. Surridge went round the last man, knocked it one side of him, ran round the other side into the box and fired into the side netting. Fuster's shot deflected and saved. Williams' shot after a good move from Forest, and the ball into the box had been stabbed away. Williams with the low shot towards the bottom corner, and probably the best save of the half coming from Chris Maxwell to deny the Reds. So they've had their efforts on goal, having gone behind, but Steve Sutton, they have plenty to do at half-time.
Yes, they've looked like a team that hasn't played together. It was uncoordinated for 10-15 minutes, where people getting just to know how it's going to be. Obviously this team brought together for this game, experienced team, but it just hasn't gelled for them for a long period. The two little sections in the game where they did play well as well, and they tore Blackpool apart Mainly it was Emmanuel Dennis down the left-hand side that was able to create things, and he had a shot off the crossbar which was a decent effort, and the ball broke out. They couldn't make anything of it. Williams cut inside, had a shot, didn't really trouble the goalkeeper. Williams again had another shot with his right foot, which is a decent shot. So it sort of came all together, but defensively, too many mistakes. Hamilton gets in too easily on the left-hand side. They don't finish, they don't deal with the cross at the far post. The ball comes in, headed back up in the air, and it was a catalogue of errors really for the goal, and a catalogue of errors for 2 or 3 times that Blackpool have got the ball into the box. So it's not been a great first half for Forest. They've had chances. They're not out of it by any stretch of the imagination, and I think if they can just get it together for a 10-minute spell, they can get themselves back in this game and probably go on and win it.
Yeah, I mean, the difficulty is that it is a classic away from home FA Cup tie, isn't it? They noticed earlier they didn't water the pitch at all. It looks quite dry. It's a bit bobbly.
Yep.
And what Blackpool are doing well is that Forest are not having a second on the ball. There's no time. It's very harem scarum in that middle of the park, isn't it? And it kind of needs somebody to take control of that situation.
Well, absolutely. And if you're looking at it from Blackpool's point of view, it's been a perfect first half for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Get into the faces. Don't give Forest. They'll think the big time coming here, especially what they did last year. Get into the faces. Don't give them a second. Let's see how they like it. They're not used to it now. They're not used to that in-your-face sort of stuff. So, they just get on with it. And Blackpool, I don't think can do that for 90 minutes. So Forest will get some chances.
We shall see what Forest can do then about this situation. 1-0 down at half-time after, Steve Sutton said, a catalogue of errors at the back presented Marvin Ekpiteta with the chance to put his side in front. His second goal of the campaign. It came after 16 minutes, and that is the difference at the break. Forest need to step it up again in the second half here at Bloomfield Road. At half-time, they trail Blackpool by 1-0.
This is match day on BBC Radio Nottingham. Mixed fortunes for our local side so far then. Here at the seaside of Blackpool. Blackpool lead Forest by 1-0, but the Reds have had plenty of chances in that, including Emmanuel Dennis hitting the bar and Sam Surrey's going close on a couple of occasions, but Forest yet to find the net. You would think the amount of chances they've been creating, especially in the last half an hour of that first half, that an equaliser surely will be forthcoming. Let's catch up with how Mansfield and Notts County have been getting on in that first 45 minutes then. It looks like Craig Armstrong finally might get to see Mansfield Town win whilst working for BBC Radio Nottingham. Surely they're not going to throw it away from here, Craig.
Why would you say that? Why would you say it? Jake said that they've never gone in leading 2-0 and they go and score to make it 2-1, and now you've said that. Why?
But I mean, come on, 2-0 up against the team they've beaten twice already this season. I hope I'm not setting them up for a fall, but at 2-0 up at the break at home, I mean, surely, tell me how good the first half's been.
The first half's been excellent for every man. Defensively, in midfield, I think that at the moment they're winning the game in midfield. The trio of Maris and Boateng and Quinn have been excellent. The front three have caused problems to the back four. What they've done really well is they've just not allowed Barrow, other than the goal they've conceded from a free kick. They've not allowed any ball to rest, any centre forward to get a hold of the ball, and they've picked balls up on the front foot, and they've just been excellent.
All right, I won't tempt fate anymore. I will leave it there for now, just in case. Craig Armstrong, best of luck for the second half. My thoughts are with you. Mansfield leading by 2-0. If you missed it earlier, Craig Armstrong's done best part of a dozen games for BBC Radio Nottingham this season. You get to see Mansfield win somehow. Mark Stallard has seen Notts win plenty, and on course again today. How's the first half been, Stall?
Yeah, it's been good from a Notts perspective. Slightly sort of indifferent first 10 minutes or so, a little bit nervy, but after that they sort of controlled the game, grew into the game, controlled the tempo, had loads of possession, as you expect of Notts to do, and got the goal. Most importantly, got that goal. Jim O'Brien, the man on the spot to profit after Aaron the Man, again the creator down the right-hand side. Macaulay Langstaff's shot was blocked, but fell to Jim O'Brien and made no mistake. And from then on, it's been almost total Notts control. The only downside slightly being that they've not created too many clear-cut opportunities. Plenty of possession, plenty of shots, plenty of balls into the box. Only other chance I can remember is really a Macaulay Langstaff header that he headed too close to Ashby Hammond, the Aldershot goalkeeper. But it's been a controlled Notts performance, and hopefully more goals to come in the second half.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Mark Stallard. Controlled, the word of the day for Notts County then, with the Magpies a goal up. The second half will continue online. Remember, on the BBC Sport website there is a link on our Twitter at BBC RNS. Notts County leading by a goal to nil. Mansfield 2-0 up at half-time. Forest a goal down here at Blackpool. I'll run you through all the other scores in just a moment. It's 5-4.
On BBC iPlayer.
Well, the last few years all seemed a bit easier somehow, hasn't it? We move on, don't we?
Catherine Kaywood is back, and so is an old enemy.
Got some intel for you from the prison. You're not going to like it.
Tommy Lee Royce.
How do?
He's a narcissist. He's a psychopath. He's using you, and you're letting him.
I get it's complicated, but he's my dad.
The final series of Happy Valley.
What I'd like is for you and me to spend some time together.
Continues tomorrow on BBC iPlayer.
Match day.
BBC Radio Nottingham.
I was getting a little carried away with Mansfield. 2-0 up they were at one stage, 2-1 of course at the break. Second half continues on 95.5 FM with Jake Garner and Craig Armstrong in the next few minutes. 2-1 they lead. Notts County leading by a goal to nil. Elsewhere in the FA Cup then, Forest losing here. Accrington of League One are winning 1-0 at National League Boreham Wood. I think a lot of people looking at that as a possible shock in the Cup today, but Boreham Wood, the home side, trailing by a goal to nil. Burnley, would this be a shock? Top of the Championship, 3-1 up away at Premier League Bournemouth, but every chance that those two could swap next season, of course, divisions. What about this? Chesterfield going well in the National League, 3-2 up over Championship West Brom, and an in-form Championship side in West Brom as well. West Brom were a goal up through Thomas Asante after just 2 minutes as well. Chesterfield equalised on 7. West Brom back ahead on 17, but 2 goals late on in that first half mean it's Chesterfield 3, West Brom 2 at half-time. Fleetwood 1, QPR 1 at the break. Hull 0, Fulham 1. I think a few people looking at Hull maybe to knock out a Premier League side, but Fulham going well in the top flight this season are a goal up in East Yorkshire. Ipswich are beating Rotherham by a goal to nil. Middlesbrough 1, Brighton 2. Sheffield United are 2-0 up at Millwall at the break, and it's Shrewsbury 0, Sunderland 0. Later on tonight, Brentford West Ham in an all-Premier League game at 5:30. Coventry against Wrexham, many people think maybe will be an upset there for National League Wrexham to go through. Grimsby against Burton, Luton, Wigan, then Sheffield Wednesday against Newcastle. Wednesday going well in League One, Newcastle going well in the top flight. Fascinating one that kicks off at 6, and Liverpool Wolves at 8. Already finished on the lunchtime kickoff. Southampton surprisingly beating a full-strength Palace 2-1 at Selhurst Park. Leicester avoided a shot. Kelechi Iheanacho with his 16th FA Cup goal. Nobody, since Iheanacho made his debut in the competition 6 years ago, nobody has scored more FA Cup goals than him. Preston 3, Huddersfield 1, Reading 2, Watford 0, and Tottenham beating Portsmouth by a goal to nil. That victory given to them thanks to a goal from this man, Harry Kane.
It was a tough game. Obviously we was clear favourites, and probably people expected it to be a bigger scoreline, but credit to them, they stayed compact, they made it difficult, and it was just tough. Even when we got the goal, we thought it'd open up a bit, but they done well to kind of stop us getting that second one. So overall, good to get through to the next round. That's the main objective, and then see who we get next.
Yeah, they hung in the game well, didn't they? Restricting goal-scoring opportunities, not very many of them during the game, not clear-cut chances anyway. Was patience key today? There wasn't much for you in that first half.
Yeah, I think so. I think we said at half-time just to maybe put a couple more players further forward, the midfielders, maybe getting higher up the pitch, because there was no real threat in behind from them. So we've done that, and then obviously we got the goal at a good time. But still room for improvement for sure. But overall, we got through, which was the most important.
Talk me through the goal from your point of view. It looked like you only had one thing on your mind.
Yeah, no, I wanted to get on the ball more, so I dropped into that kind of space there and played a nice 1-2 with Sessi, and then just caught it really nice. Kind of the space opened up, and it was nice to see it hit the net.
Number 265 for Tottenham, as I'm sure you're more than well aware, just the one behind Jimmy Greaves now, and you scored that goal on exactly the same day of the year that he scored his 265th. Is that whole record in your mind, or do you try to just ignore it because you know that you'll get there at some point?
Yeah, I try to not think about it. Sometimes I feel like if you think too much to try and achieve something, it almost goes the other way. So obviously I feel in good form, I feel fit, and we've got plenty of games coming up. So I just got to go into each game trying to help the team. That's always been my mindset, and hopefully the goals will come.
Good to see Harry Kane's feeling fit, unlike the BBC Radio Nottingham sports team by the end of today, I would suggest. After fish and chips for lunch and Haribo for during the game, we've just been brought a big pie. So the January diet is, as Steve Sutton suggested before the game, very much going to have to wait. But a pie it is for the second half. So on we go, and we can scrap any idea of getting rid of that weight picked up over Christmas. That can very much wait. It's BBC Radio Nottingham, 4 o'clock. Loads of sport coming up for you over the next week on BBC Radio Nottingham. Tuesday night, Notts County back in action at Meadow Lane. Boreham Wood, I'll bring you match night live from Meadow Lane from 7 with full match commentary on that one. Then on Wednesday night, remember, Forest in the League Cup quarter-finals up against Wolves. On Saturday, Forest and Mansfield both in action, commentary on those, and then Notts on Sunday. So 4 football matches for you, 5 matches, 4 programmes for you next week to look forward to. Here, the players are just making their way back out, so it's time to make your choice of commentary for the second half. Online, you've got Notts at Aldershot, where Notts lead by 1-0. 95.5 FM, Mansfield against Barrow. They lead 2-1. Craig Armstrong and Jake Garner. And on digital radio, 103.8 FM in the FA Cup third round from here at Bloomfield Road, it's Blackpool 1, Forest 0. And the second half on the way with Steve Sutton and Colin Fray.
Match day. BBC Radio Nottingham.
Yes, teams out here at Bloomfield Road. Blackpool 1, Forest 0 at half-time. So Forest with plenty to do, as the fans give us their second half rendition of Molokintyre. Three and a half thousand of them are here by the seaside, getting ready to watch the second half. No changes made by either manager at half-time, not by Michael Appleton. He'll, of course, be very happy with the way the first half went, and Steve Cooper resisting the opportunity to make changes at the break, sending out the same players who started the game, and it is Forest who are going to kick us off in their all navy blue kit, with the flecks of orange and lighter blue in their shirts. Blackpool in their tangerine shirts, white shorts, tangerine socks, and the referee James Linnington gets us underway with a blow of his whistle in this second half. It's headed on by Surridge towards Dennis down the left wing, and down goes the Blackpool defender, just out of our vision, away to our left-hand side near the corner flag, and that will be a free kick early in the second half for Blackpool. Forest then with Hennessy in goal, Williams, Cook, McKenna and Toffolo across the back four. Colback, O'Brien and Fuster are the 3 in midfield. Fuster being Billy Fuster, the 19-year-old, making his professional debut today. And then Scarpa in the number 10 role behind Dennis and Surridge up front for Forest. Here is Williams hoisting this high into the darkening sky. Dennis trying to win it on halfway, but is outnumbered, loses out. Colback having to get back and hold things up. Now here's Shane Lavery for Blackpool, level with the edge of the Forest box down their right-hand side. Crossing, deflects, McKenna heads it away. O'Brien trying to keep it in play, but in doing so gives it away to Carey, whose first time cross is headed clear nicely by Williams to Scarpa. Scarpa nutmegs Carey, I think more by luck than judgment, and now here's Lewis O'Brien striding forward. O'Brien to his left for Emmanuel Dennis. Dennis bearing down on the penalty area, low ball in, blocked by Ekpiteta. Comes out again for Toffolo left side. Toffolo into O'Brien's feet, just inside the box. Gives it to Dennis. Dennis looking to try and get it onto his right foot to curl one, and in the end went for power and blasts it high and wide and away for a goal kick. Second minute of the second half, 1-0 Blackpool.
Well, we've seen Dennis do this.
Is that pie gone down the wrong way?
That pie's gone around the wrong way. It's a very nice cheese pie.
I'm not sure there is such a thing.
I was very excited. But not as excited as was when Dennis cut inside there. He tried to really take the laces out of it, and instead of just giving it a nice little curl in the top corner, he tried to power it away. But a positive start from Forest to start the second half.
Surridge on halfway, battling for the ball, and Sonny Carey comes across and volleys it sideways with so much force that it cannons against the glass doors of one of the executive boxes right at the top of the Stan Matthews stand on the far side. We're at Bloomfield Road. That's the sea side, if you like. Tower away to our right hand side, northwards. And Forest in possession of the ball with Harry Toffolo inside his own half, giving it O'Brien, and he tucks it back for Scott McKenna. Forest subs: Joe Worrell, Earl Mangala, Loic Umbeso, Brennan Johnson, Ryan Yates, Renan Loddy, goalkeeper Dean Henderson, and then a couple of young players in Detlef Asapa-Osong, the striker, just 18 years of age, and 20-year-old midfielder Ollie Hammond. Here's McKenna, forward down the left-hand side. He's looking for Dennis. It's headed by Ekpiteta, who gets enough on it to turn it back to Chris Maxwell, who has to come along his byline, a good 20 yards or so from his goal, sideways if you like, and manages to claim it before it goes out for what would have been a corner. Mansfield 2, Barrow 1 in the early stages of the second half on 95.5 FM, and on our online commentary this afternoon it's Aldershot 0, Notts County 1. Jim O'Brien with that goal in the first half. Ball is loose just inside Forest half, and McKenna gets to it first and gives it to O'Brien across halfway. O'Brien being closed down by Lavery, holds on to it, now gives it Scarpa. Scarpa at the edge of the penalty area, checks out onto his left foot, his shot is blocked, comes out for O'Brien, finds a good ball to Toffolo. Toffolo with a cross, overhits it. Way overhits it actually, and it goes out of play virtually on first bounce on the far side for a throw. But that was good football from Forest right from the moment McKenna got to the loose ball first inside his own half. Unfortunately, that final ball into the penalty area or across the face of goal from Toffolo was well overhit. And it remains 1-0 to Blackpool. Throw near their own corner flag. It's headed by Fuster infield, and Carey then nods it away. Williams brings it down, looking for Fuster again, midway inside the Blackpool half. Fuster through challenges, lays it back to halfway for Cook, and now McKenna. Across the halfway line to the left of the centre circle, into the feet of Scarpa. Scarpa on the half turn, and now gets it onto his left foot, fires it into the feet of Dennis. Dennis taking it away from defenders, having to go away from the penalty area to keep possession, but does so well, and now finds Nico Williams, wide right, level with the edge of the box. Williams trying to take his men on. Little nutmeg to try and get away from CJ Hamilton, but Hamilton has had a good game today for Blackpool, both in an attacking sense and here defensively. And he wins it off Nico Williams and then plays it off Nico Williams and wins his team a throw, which James Husband, his fullback, is now going to take 15 yards or so from the corner flag. One in the air by Williams, but sent forward again by the Tangerines, only as far as McKenna, who wins it. Fuster heads forward. Thornley heads it away for Blackpool. Cook wins the next header. Scarpa tries to bring it down. Fuster sends it to Surridge, who lays it off for Scarpa, right side. Lays it down the right-hand side for Dennis. Dennis at the byline, keeps the ball in play, holds on to it. Tries to feed it through in between two defenders, can't do so. Gets a ricochet, still got it, but going back towards halfway. Williams infield now to Colback, back in the middle of the Blackpool half. He gives it wide right for Dennis once again. Dennis teasing against his man near the byline. Goes one way, then the other. Hits the byline. Wriggles through, challenges. Sent back for Surridge, who lofts it over the top from 6 yards out. Great play from Emmanuel Dennis in the end. He tried it once. The ball went all the way out, all the way back to him. This time he took his man on the outside, went along the byline, pulled it back. And for all the world, it looked like Sam Surridge was going to put Forest level. It's over.
And probably should have done. Yeah, it came at him rather quickly, but a good chance from probably 7 yards. Difficult just to tell from here. A lot of players in the box. But Dennis doing really well down that right-hand side. He played more down the left in the first half, but playing down the right on the second half. And he keeps getting the ball. Scapper keeps getting the ball into him. O'Brien does well for him. Colbert does well for him to keep giving him the ball. And that was a better decision that he made there than he did the time before.
Here's CJ Hamilton running onto a loose ball, which is played across by Colbert behind his man, and Colbert holds his hand up in apology as Forest get back and smother out the danger, but it will be a Blackpool throw down the left-hand side. A Barrow equaliser now at Field Mill. Mansfield 2, Barrow 2. Here come Blackpool to the edge of the penalty area. Shot by Poveda is blocked and cleared by Toffolo. Sent forward again first time by Thornley from halfway, and it goes all the way through to Wayne Hennessy. So 2 apiece now. Mansfield were 2-0 ahead, but now it's 2-2. Still Aldershot 0, Notts County 1. And give you a rundown of the FA Cup scores from the 3 o'clock kickoffs in a few minutes' time. Here's Nico Williams under pressure from CJ Hamilton, but turning away from him inside his own half. Fuster turning backwards to Steve Cook. Looks as if he's limping a bit, Steve Cook. Now McKenna for Toffolo. I think Cook might be struggling a bit. Just bends down, puts his hands on his knees. McKenna clears, but it's half blocked, that clearance. And so Forest have to battle for it in midfield. Yeah, sure enough, there goes Joe Worrell off the bench to start warming up. Here's Emmanuel Dennis from halfway. Couple of step-overs, rolls it infield to Fuster. Fuster switches play left-hand side for Toffolo, who can't keep it in play. And it just spins away from him and goes out into touch for a Blackpool throw midway inside their own half. 1-0 to Blackpool. 8 minutes, nearly 9 played in the second half. And Andy Lyons throws down the line towards Beasley. McKenna wins it. Cook forward to Scarpa. Scarpa couldn't get it under control and it's thumped away. And there's Beasley chasing after it. And McKenna with a good header under pressure back to Wayne Hennessy. Had to get that right, did Scott McKenna. Did so. And it's rolled out to Cook. Cook down the right-hand side. I think that's Slice, and it's going to run away from Surridge.
He's struggling.
Yeah.
He really is struggling.
Yeah. He's limping again, is Steve Cook.
Yeah. What is he did when he seemed to run all right, but when he kicked it there, whether he's tweaked his knee or his ankle. He had a bit of a tussle down on the right-hand side of the box there just earlier in this half. And that's just caused him a few problems.
Good ball from Fuster on the turn to Nico Williams, and then Williams overhits the pass forward to Dennis, and it goes through to Chris Maxwell. 1-0, Blackpool continue to lead in the FA Cup third round. Of course, Forest had such a good time in this competition last year on their own pitch. 4 home draws, 3 good wins, and then a narrow defeat to Liverpool in the quarter-final. They also had such a good time on this pitch last year in the league, but things are very different for both sides these days, and the scoreline is pretty different today as well, with Blackpool leading Forest by 1-0. McKenna heads away. Scarpa tries to get it under control, but showed too much of it to Sonny Carey. And Blackpool have it again. It's played back into Carey by Husband. He goes back to Thornley. Thornley out wide left for Carey. Tucked back first time and cleared by Patino, but controlled by Williams. Rolls it forward to Dennis. Good flick from Dennis. Then a first-time ball from O'Brien to get Toffolo away left side. Toffolo fires over the cross, and O'Brien shoots towards the top corner and just wide. He was on the stretch as Toffolo pulled it back. O'Brien sliding in 8 or 9 yards out and trying to divert it towards the top corner, and it just faded away and went wide of the target. Only just. Forest close to levelling things.
Yeah, they were. That's the best play that they've had. Just moved that ball quickly, didn't it? 1 touch, 2 touch. That's what they should be doing. Just moving the ball across the legs. And thought Toffolo had lost a chance, but he got a great ball across. O'Brien stretching. Looks if it might just sneak in the top corner, but drifted away. And this might help Forest a little bit with their passing. As a storm comes in, the heavens have opened. That might just help move the ball a little bit quicker for them.
Yeah, they promised showers throughout the course of the afternoon, and this is the first one we've had, I think. And it is sweeping across Bloomfield Road as Charlie Patino has the ball for Blackpool inside his own half. He's under pressure from Scarpa, who wins it. Scarpa nicks it away from him, and suddenly it's 3 against 2. Scarpa's ball, Emmanuel Dennis, it's saved somehow, comes out for O'Brien, and it's blocked by a combination of Ekpiteta and Maxwell, and goes behind for a corner. How has Emmanuel Dennis not put Forest in front? Somehow Blackpool managed to keep it out. Lovely play from Scarpa, lovely ball from Scarpa, on a plate for Dennis, and the goalkeeper comes out to smother him, and then on the rebound it's blocked and goes out for a corner. From the right-hand side, Scarpa to take. 12, nearly 13 minutes played, second half. Scarpa in towards the near post, powerful header away by Thornley. Colback retrieves 10 yards inside the Blackpool half. He's coming left-hand side, towards this near side where the Forest fans are massed. Challenge on Dennis goes out of play, and Forest will win a throw, and Blackpool are going to take the chance to make their first substitution, and they're going to bring on Jerry Yates, the top goal scorer. He's got 9 this season, and he's going to replace Jake Beasley. Great chance for Emmanuel Dennis to see something.
But did he need to take a touch? I don't think he did, because he gave the goalkeeper time to close him down, and the defender time. He just got what a ball from Scarpa. He won it himself, had a little, just nicked it off the defender, ran through. Beautiful pass. I think he just has to take that first time. If he's a striker in real form and scoring goals, you take that first time, nick it over the goalkeeper. He's obviously very, very low on confidence in front of goal. He's done well outside the box, but in front of goal he looks a little bit shy with that. And yeah, that should be Forest level.
As it is, Blackpool still lead. Here's O'Brien inside the Blackpool half. He's gone backwards for Colback, who's having to run a long way to get away from the new substitute, Jerry Yates. And now Cook, who seems to have just shaken off that knock that he took. He's not limping anywhere near as heavily. Back goes Williams to his goalkeeper. Hennessy clears left side to McKenna. McKenna forward to Surridge, who gets up well and nods it down, and then plays it infield to O'Brien. O'Brien square. Gustavo Scarpa onto his left foot, always rising from 25 yards and over the crossbar. So much better from Forest though now.
Well, they're moving the ball quickly, aren't they? They're just absolutely passing the ball 1 touch, 2 touch, and look as if they want to run round, and that's made a big difference. I think Scarpa's done really, really well. He looks as if he's a player that can. We've been asking for somebody that can turn something out of nothing, and he looks as if he can do that with a trick, a flick, a pass. He's had a couple of beautiful passes today. He had a shot himself there, and I don't blame him. Sits nicely on his left foot, 25 yards, have a dip, nothing to lose. He looks as if he could be an interesting player.
Here come Forest again, although this time there's a challenge. Then O'Brien wins it back again, and Scarpa lays it off for Fuster, 10 yards inside the Blackpool half. Notts County have gone 2-0 ahead in their game in the National League at Aldershot this afternoon. Sent forward by Forest towards Dennis. It didn't come for Dennis because it was headed away from him by Jordan Thornley, who's had a good game at the back for Blackpool so far this afternoon. There are 30 minutes remaining here at Bloomfield Road. It's Ruben Rodriguez who scored that second goal for Notts County. They lead 2-0. You can hear it live on the BBC Sport website. You can also find the link on our Twitter feed at BBC RNS. They lead 2-0. Mansfield have been pegged back from 2-0 up against Barrow, and it's 2-2. That's our 95.5 FM commentary. Here, Forest trail Blackpool in the cup, and a shot just dipping over the crossbar from Ian Poveda, which just loops over. I think Hennessy had it covered. It was a long way out, and it remains 1-0.
No, I'm not sure he did unless he knew it was going over. But that was just shows you how this game can be. Forest have been all over it. All of a sudden Blackpool far too easily get the ball in, get the ball at the edge of the box, and get a shot away. Really, at times Forest, they make you so frustrated because they play so well. They can't keep that tempo going for long enough to really get it going. Now, one touch, two touch football, then all of a sudden they give the opposition a chance. I mean, we've seen that in every Premiership game, haven't we? I know this isn't the Premiership team that will turn out next week, but even so, as a group of players, sometimes it's just far too easy for the opposition to get chances on the goal.
There are a few Forest subs out, warming up at the moment as the ball is lofted forward by Blackpool, but that'll run out tamely for a goal kick. Ryan Yates has just been called back to the bench. Joe Worrell has been doing a bit of limbering up because of that Steve Cook injury. I think I've just seen Brennan Johnson out there as well. Cook has the boys a high press on now from Blackpool, and O'Brien steps away from Lavery to beat that and gives it Toffolo wide left on halfway. Toffolo carries it forward into Blackpool territory, now gives it to Emmanuel Dennis. Dennis is challenged, ball goes out of play. Dennis wants to take it quickly, in fact leaves it for Toffolo. Colback had made a good run, but Toffolo just delayed a little bit too long. Gives it to Colback short this time, gives it him back. Toffolo trying to battle his way through challenges, ends up winning another throw. This is only about 20 yards out. Not many options, a few people walking away from him at the moment. Blackpool leading 1-0. It's thrown in towards O'Brien near the edge of the penalty area. Flicked away from him. Launched long by Sonny Carey, and McKenna needs to get back and sends it back to Hennessy. He's under pressure from Yates. He got a head to it, which he realised wasn't going to be strong enough. Oh, and then as Nico Williams keeps it in play, he turns it back into his own half and gives it straight to Yates, who's in the penalty area and rolls it square. And Poveda might just have sent Forest out to the FA Cup as he taps it in from close range. Again, Forest masters of their own downfall. And this time it's Nico Williams who plays the ball back into his own penalty area. And Jerry Yates pounces on it. He carries it into the box a little bit further, sends it across the face of goal, and Ian Poveda knocks it in from close range. It's Blackpool 2, Forest 0, and there are 19 second half minutes played.
Well, I have just said, and I hate this when it happens, that Forest just let teams in so easy. It was a poor pass from Williams, don't really know what he was looking for. They just got out of the high press, Forest, and they're just making a substitution, but they just let the Blackpool in there trying to get back, and they couldn't get back in, and Poveda there just stuck the ball in the back of the net from 3-4 yards, giving Hennessy no chance, and they've got a lot to do now, have Nottingham Forest.
Yep, 2 goals needed just to force a replay. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, how well the FA Cup treated Forest last season, how well they played in the FA Cup last season. Here today they are on the brink of an upset. They're, Championship fans taunting Forest with their Premier League status just at the moment, as here is Toffolo finding O'Brien. Comes at the end of what had been a good spell for Forest going forward, but just defensively, that's twice now. I mean, O'Brien gets an assist for the Blackpool first goal and Nico Williams for the Blackpool second goal. Down the right-hand side it's played. Yates has come on to replace Fuster. And Ryan Yates just squaring up to Blackpool player. I think it's Patino. Who, no, it's not Patino, it might be Poveda actually, who's just scored the goal, who has just gone down rather easily as far as Yates is concerned in trying to buy a goal kick. Referee wasn't having it though, it is a corner, and Scarpa's going to take it from the far side, the right. 6-yard box is absolutely packed. Most of the orange shirts are back inside their own 6-yard box. Forest have loads forward as well for Scarpa to try and aim at. Only Colback back on halfway. Nico Williams on the edge of the box. And Lewis O'Brien around the penalty spot with Ian Poveda. And it's rolled short to Lewis O'Brien. O'Brien gives it back to Scarpa. Scarpa puts the ball in towards the near post. Ekpiteta gets a touch. It'll come out left wing. And Scott McKenna is playing left winger at the moment. And takes his man on, but then Husband plays it off Toffolo, and that'll go out for a Blackpool throw. And another Forest change on the way. That's Brennan Johnson being made ready. But Charlie Patino first is going off, and he's going to be replaced by Kenny Dougal. So Dougal on for Patino for Blackpool. And for Forest, it's Lewis O'Brien who makes way. And Brennan Johnson, who comes on. We said at the start that Steve Cooper will be hoping his team can get the job done without the need, really, of Brennan Johnson. But there certainly is a need for him to try and work something here, because Blackpool lead by 2-0 midway through the second half on Match Day from BBC Radio Nottingham. Ryan Yates, also on the field as a substitute, is fouled. Wins the free kick and takes it short back to Cook. Cook now for McKenna. McKenna left of the centre circle, gives it Colback, and Colback turns it back into his own half for Cook, and now he gives it Yates, and Yates has got 10 yards or so of space to run into right side. Plays it forward to Williams. Williams with the early ball in. He's looking for Surridge. Surridge controls, but as he's trying to turn, it's knocked away from him by Ekpiteta. Johnson trying to get hold of it, but couldn't. And it's chipped away down the left-hand side by Kenny Dougal, the Australian. Just come off the bench, but pretty aimless. And Forest will go back to pick it up again. Here's Cook, sending it towards Surridge. Thornley gets up and heads away. Gustavo Scarpa picks up the second ball and gives it Johnson right side, corner of the penalty area. Johnson taking on his man and sends it back for Surridge, who's missed from 6 yards again. He's lofted over the bar. Johnson's tee up this time. It was Emmanuel Dennis earlier in the day. And Sam Surridge, usually so sure and certain in front of goal. It's the third chance he's had today. 2 from virtually the same spot on the pitch, with the same result. They both go over the crossbar. The first one in the first half into the side netting, and it remains 2-0 to Blackpool.
Oh dear, you can't do any more than that. You bring your subs on, they combine to get down the right-hand side. Johnson went past his defenders if he wasn't there. Now a lovely little ball into the edge of the 6-yard box. And Surridge really didn't have to do a lot. Stick it in there. Whether he's trying to be too clever, I don't know. Whether it's come too quick. But you expect a striker of his quality. He gets in the right position when you expect him to just stick the ball in the net. And Forest don't get anything. At least they've had the chances. You know, they can look at themselves and think, well, you know, we have had 1 or 2.
Yeah, they've had the chances to win the game. Blackpool have had 2 shots on goal and scored twice. They've been giving Forest a lesson in finishing, if nothing else. Not over yet. 1 goal back quickly will make all the difference. But here come Blackpool. Cross halfway. Here's their second goal scorer, Ian Poveda, with a cross towards the back post, looking for Yates. Couldn't get on the end of it. It's a low ball in, and Yates was trying to get there, couldn't. CJ Hamilton keeps the ball in play on the far side of the field, the left. And now chipped forward again towards Hamilton, who drills it low into the bottom corner. It's 3-0 to Blackpool. And suddenly, Forest are falling apart. It's the cue for dozens and dozens of fans to leave the away section. CJ Hamilton crashes the shot in from wide on the left-hand side, right across the face of goal and into the bottom corner. And it's 3-0 to Blackpool with 19 minutes remaining.
Oh, we didn't see that at half-time, did we? Expected Forest to come out, which they did. They've got to have some. They had the chances, and right from one end, Surridge had a great chance. They've gone down the other end. The ball in right across the box, played out at the far side. Williams not covering himself in defensive glory there, and Hamilton, who's done well on that right hand side, on the left hand side for Blackpool. Sorry, he's done well enough all afternoon. Kept Williams in check. Absolutely lashed it into the bottom corner. Wayne Hennessy no chance. But, that looks like the final nail in Forest's coffin. Take something now, Colin. In 19 minutes, we haven't had a shot on target for nearly an hour.
Yeah. Plenty wide and high and over. Goalkeepers had to make 1 or 2 saves in that first half. But, well, they've had their chances, Forest. And, I mean, I have to say, I don't think Forest have played particularly well. I have to say 3-0 is harsh. But Blackpool, as I just mentioned before, have just been clinical in front of goal. The chances they've had, they've taken. I think that's 3 shots on goal and 3 goals.
I would agree, yeah. Wayne Hennessy hasn't had another save to make. Come for a couple of crosses, but yeah, that's how to finish.
They're flying now, though, Blackpool. And they're looking to put their Premier League opponents to the sword. Well won by Colback. And he drives forward and he gives it right-hand side for Johnson. Johnson charging forward towards the edge of the Blackpool penalty area. Takes on one. Left foot shot. And that's dragged wide. He was a long way out, Brennan Johnson, when he hit that. Ekpiteta going and arguing with the referee that Colback should have been penalised at the start of that. He fouled deep inside his own half. So it's a goal kick. And time begins to tick away from Forest. And it looks as if it's ticking away from their FA Cup campaign for this season. 3-0, Blackpool leading. Still 2-2 between Mansfield and Barrow, and Notts County still lead Aldershot by 2-0 in the National League. Here's CJ Hamilton getting away from Nico Williams again. Both went down. Hamilton got up quickest and rolls the ball backwards. Rolled in field towards Poveda. 2 goal scorers combining. Colback wins the ball and wins the throw. And Williams takes it quickly and gives it to Steve Cook. Cook across to the left for McKenna. And McKenna gives it back again for Steve Cook. Marvin Ekpiteta after 16 minutes. Ian Poveda after 64. And CJ Hamilton after 71. And Forest are heading out of the FA Cup. Sent forward towards Surridge, gets up, heads on towards Johnson. I beg his pardon, towards Scarpa, that was, down the right-hand side. Blackpool clear, but it goes out into touch. Colback leaves it for Nico Williams to take the throw. 15 yards or so inside the Blackpool half. Throws in short to Johnson, gives it back to Williams, back to Johnson again, and he rolls it now to Scarpa. Scarpa in the middle of the Blackpool half. He's going to shoot from a long way out, and that deflects and loops high in the air and is brought down comfortably by Chris Maxwell's catch. Well, if they are going to produce a rousing finale, Forest, you sense they need the first of their 3 fairly quickly.
I would say so. There's been nothing to suggest that they will, other than they might.
They might here, because Scarpa's finding Surridge. Fans certainly appealing for handball against Andy Lyons as he took it away from Surridge on the edge of the box, but nothing doing. Think about the chances that Surridge has had today. They've been so complimentary since he joined the club a year ago, just about. The quality of his finishing, it's just not been his day today at all. Up gets Williams. Sends this out of play off CJ Hamilton. I think there's a clash of heads and Williams has come off worst. Hamilton just pointing to his head to tell the referee that that's what happened. And there is going to be some treatment here for Nico Williams. Of course, I saw in the World Cup that he sustained that head injury. And we'll take no chances at all here. Forest only used the 2 substitutes so far, Yates and Johnson on the field. 3-0 the score, 8,750 the crowd, 3,500 of those Forest fans. Many of those have decided to leave at the 3rd goal. Hard to tell exactly how many, as we're sitting right in the middle of them, but plenty got up and walked out as soon as the goal had gone in. Meanwhile, the treatment continues to Nico Williams. Tell you what's happening elsewhere this afternoon. It's still Mansfield 2, Barrow 2 on 95.5 FM, and via the BBC Sport website it is still Aldershot 0, Notts County 2. You can hear commentary on the BBC Sport website. Elsewhere in the Cup, Accrington still lead National League side Boreham Wood 1-0 from their early goal. It's Bournemouth 2, Burnley 4. Chesterfield still lead West Brom 3-2. All the goals in the first half. Fleetwood 2, QPR 1. So the Fylde Coast would appear to be the place for FA Cup shocks today. Hull 0, Fulham 1. Ipswich 2, Rotherham 1. Middlesbrough 1, Brighton 3. Millwall 0, Sheffield United 2. And Shrewsbury 0, Sunderland 0. And Morgan Rogers, the youngster on loan from Manchester City, comes on to replace CJ Hamilton for Blackpool, while the treatment continues to go on for Nico Williams. I'm not sure they're going to allow him to continue.
He had a nasty knock in the World Cup.
He did, and he played on for a bit in that one, didn't he? And Wales got some criticism for that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question of him being able to continue here. He's up on his feet, and he is walking off down the tunnel. He's being led off down the tunnel, and the change is going to see Loic Mbeso come on. So Mbeso comes on to replace Nico Williams, and that's it as far as substitutions are concerned for Forest. That's their 3rd. You're allowed 5, but they've made 3 single substitutions. You're only allowed the 3 stoppages. And Mbeso to play at right back. No Serge Aurier on the bench today for Forest. One of the first teamers, if you like, who are rested. Surridge keeps the ball in play. Scarpa knocks it through on halfway towards Colback. Blackpool have too many men back. I can tell you that Barrow have now gone 3-2 ahead over Mansfield. Stags were 2-0 up at just before half-time. Barrow pulled 1 back just before the break. They got 1 back early in the second half, and now an Ollie Hawkins' own goal means it's Mansfield 2, Barrow 3. You can hear the end of that on 95.5 FM from BBC Radio Nottingham. Aldershot 0, Notts County 2 is on the BBC Sport website, courtesy of Dave Bracegirdle and Mark Stallard. Here's Ryan Yates in the middle of his own half, looking to get Johnson away in behind Husband. Johnson using his pace to get on the end of the ball, and Husband sticks at his task and wins the challenge, and then is dragged down by Johnson, and it'll be a free kick and a yellow card for Brennan Johnson. I have to say the exact point of impact was right behind that pillar and stanchion that's to our left-hand side, so I couldn't quite see exactly what he did.
No, he pulled him back.
Seemed, unless there was
petulant.
Yeah,
there was a petulant pullback.
Worth a yellow card?
Well, no.
Debatable, let's put it that way. Middlesbrough 1, Brighton 4, latest in the Cup, and an equaliser for Boreham Wood against Accrington. 1 apiece. Here come Blackpool looking for a 4th goal against Forest. It's out wide on the left-hand side. Preveda sends it through for Morgan Rogers to send it in towards the feet of Yates, 6 yards out, and down low bravely goes Wayne Hennessy and makes the catch. Hennessy bowls it out short to Scarpa, in a very deep position at the moment, and he just lobs it across his own half and loses out. loses the ball. Here's Morgan Rogers, and he's taking on Toffolo, fizzes in across towards the near post, and again Hennessy catches, this time at head height. And it remains 3-0 to Blackpool. Blackpool 3, Forest 0 in the FA Cup third round. And Forest are not going to see the fourth round. Here's Steve Cook charging forward across halfway, lays it off for Johnson. Johnson forward to Scarpa, who's 30 yards out and wide right. Gives it back infield to Johnson. Johnson trying to shake off 3 around him. It's cleared by Blackpool against Scarpa. Hoisted high across the middle of their own half. Yates wins it. And Lyons responds quicker than Dennis to get the ball away for Blackpool. Toffolo races to go and pick the ball up and then looks up and there's nobody really on for him. Yates now comes and finds him, and Toffolo now gives it Surridge. Surridge turning 30 yards out, rolls it to his right. Here's Loikombe so well forward at the corner of the penalty area. He tucks it back for Scarpa. Scarpa square for Colback. Colback square for Yates. Blackpool keeping Forest at arm's length here. Toffolo left side, drops it back infield for Dennis. Dennis into the penalty area. Onto his right foot, tucks it back outside the box for Yates. Gives it back left-hand side for Toffolo, into Dennis again. Dennis forced outside the box, near the left corner of it. Trying to turn to face up Lyons. Lyons takes it off him and then hammers it away. But it's at the expense of a Forest throw, which will be near the Blackpool corner flag, left-hand side. Forest probing, but 3-0 down. Here's Dennis, again left side, trying to take on his man. It breaks for Toffolo. Toffolo's cross is blocked, and it goes behind for a Forest corner.
Reluctance to put the ball in there and into the box, isn't there? There's 4 players in the box. It took so long. I mean, Blackpool have got 11 players back. The attack took so long, stopping, checking.
Here's the corner, in towards the near post. Toffolo got a flick to it, then it hit the defender and loops kindly up in the air for Maxwell, who claims it and takes his time before getting up, and well, he might. 7 minutes to go. More and more Forest fans are heading for the exit. Beat the traffic out the car parks. Head back after what has been a very disappointing away day. Away days have not been great this season for Forest. They improved on Wednesday night in the Premier League. But 11 changes here have not worked for Forest, and here's Poveda leaping away from Cook's challenge and feeding it into Jerry Yates. Yates onto his left foot, drives it wide of the target. Great chance to make it 4, but he couldn't curl it in. Instead it went straight and well wide, and it remains 3-0 Blackpool.
Well, should have been 4. He's had quite a decent run, I think, of goals, Yates, and Forest just torn open. I know they're pushing forward to try and get a goal. The game's gone for them, excuse me, but wow, the ease at which teams just get at them and create a great chance like that. It's not even a half chance, that's a great chance, and that is all too easy. It's been very disappointing.
Toffolo just inside his own half as we come in towards the final 5 minutes at Bloomfield Road. Forest trailing by 3-0. Mansfield 3-2 down at home to Barrow, and Notts County leading at Aldershot by 2-0 in the National League. Long ball forward, Surridge goes chasing it, keeps it in play, but then it's headed calmly by Husband back to his goalkeeper. I beg his pardon, I think it's Thornley who just did the tidying up for Blackpool. Ekpiteta, centre half, who opened the scoring after 16 minutes. Here's McKenna trying to head the ball backwards to Hennessy, but well wide of Hennessy, wide of goal. Corner for Blackpool. And as I keep saying, more Forest fans deciding that they have seen enough this afternoon. Plenty are staying.
They'll be disappointed, won't they?
I don't think many expected this in the second half. I think 1-0 down at half time. I think it was an expectation that Forest would come back at Blackpool, which to be fair they did in the opening few minutes of the second half. Here's the cross into the penalty area, and that's swept home for a fourth goal on the half volley. Hits the underside of the crossbar from Jerry Yates and bounces in, and it's Blackpool 4, Forest 0, and that really is enough for hundreds of Forest fans to head for the exits. Ball into the penalty area from the right hand side. Yates met it first, half volley, hit the bar, bounced down, went in. Blackpool have a fourth with 3.5 minutes to go until the end of the game. Blackpool of the Championship 4, Forest of the Premier League 0.
Well, they've given Forest a lesson in finishing, because Forest have had 3 chances exactly the same as that, cut back into the near post, and that's how to stick the ball in the net. There's been a lesson there for Forest. You look on paper, this team will be a decent Championship team, you think. All the players, with the exception of Scapper, who's played at a different level. You've only got Fuster, who started the game, that haven't played in the Premier League. And doesn't matter if you put a team together, you expect a little bit more about them. They've had the chances, certainly, but defensively, I'm afraid it's been poor.
Here's Morgan Rogers on halfway. Louis Combe-So battling with him to try and win it back. Can't do so. Does at the second attempt, and Blackpool get the throw on the halfway line. Couple of minutes remaining of normal time. Forest humiliated here by a team who have not won in 9, are in the Championship relegation zone. I know it is much changed, Forest. We should add that, as Combe-So fouls his man, and it's a free kick. It is not the team that has been performing better in recent weeks in the Premier League. Lots of changes, but it should be performing better than it has this afternoon. Here's Colback finding Louis Combe-So near his own corner flag, having to withstand a challenge, does so, then stumbles over, and Blackpool are in here for a fifth, sent towards the near post by Poveda and blocked by Hennessy at the near post and turned away for a corner. I mean, it's turning into shambolic at the back.
Defensively, you can't catch my breath at just how average it's been.
Yeah.
Defensively.
Average is kind, I think.
Well, we have to come back on Wednesday night and go again like this team does. But it's...
Here's the corner, swung in towards the back post, and it beats everybody and goes behind for a goal kick.
This team has to pick itself... Well, the club has to pick itself up, whether it's this team or whether it's a totally different team. One would imagine it will be a stronger team. I'm sure Steve Cooper will be absolutely furious, because there's no way this team should be losing 4 goals. There's enough in there from the start for this team to have gone and won this game, and I'm sure he thought there was enough there. Goal down at half time, but they've had the chances, and I'm just counting that they've probably had 6 chances, Forest, in the game. Blackpool have had 7 and scored 4 of them. So that's the biggest difference. That's the biggest difference we notice in the Premier League. Teams have 1-2 chances, they take them. Forest at the moment aren't able to do that.
There's another change for Blackpool. This is the... well, I make this their 4th change. I'm not sure they can do that, can they? That's Don Thompson coming on. That's their 4th stoppage to make a change. And he's replaced Husband. Perhaps the game will be void, because they've made too many substitutions. Here's Yates, charging forward towards the penalty area. Oh, he's bundled into, and he goes down, and it looks like it ought to be a penalty, and the referee says no. Charged into the back of was Ryan Yates. But not having anything of it, the referee, James Linnington. And it remains 4-0 to Blackpool. And the 90 minutes are up. have to say I didn't see how much stoppage time was added because
3 minutes.
It was 3, was it? So the change that was taking place at the same time. Here's Toffolo. The ball is headed forward by Surridge towards Scarpa and whipped away by Ekpiteta, and McKenna sends it back to his goalkeeper. Wayne Hennessy, beaten 4 times, sends this long towards Emmanuel Dennis. He might get away from his man in a left wing position here. Dennis trying to take on Lyons as he drifts towards the edge of the penalty area. He gives it now to Toffolo, and the headed goal is from Ryan Yates. Diving header from Yates, steers it into the far corner beyond the goalkeeper, and Forest have a goal in stoppage time. Yates gets one. It's not going to make any difference. There's only a minute left of added time, and Forest trail Blackpool by 4 goals to 1.
Yeah, but that's just how simple this game can be. The ball over the top. Dennis went, he gave an easy pass to Toffolo. Toffolo put it into a good area. You get a player like Yates that wants to get into the box, and a simple header into the far court. That's how simple this game is. And they've overcomplicated things up front. They've tried to have too many touches and slowed the game too much. And a little bit of compensation for him. Nice for Ryan Yates to get on and get a goal. Doesn't mean anything in this game. But the people that have stayed on, they've seen a goal at least. But that's how easy it is, Colin. Just put the ball in the box into an area, and people get in on it. We try and dribble and have another touch.
Scarpa gives the ball away, and a shot from a long way out from Kenny Dougal goes wide. And that will just about be it, I fancy. By the time Wayne Hennessy has taken this next goal kick, the referee has a look at his watch. And that is it. Forest humbled and humiliated by the Seaside, by a side in the Championship relegation zone. They're out of the FA Cup, a competition which brought them so much joy and pride last season. Sees them exit at the first hurdle this season, and well and truly beaten by a Blackpool side who win a game for the first time in 10 matches. Marvin Ekpiteta after 16 minutes, Ian Poveda after 64, CJ Hamilton 71, Jerry Yates 86, and Ryan Yates getting a goal back for Forest in stoppage time. Means they've been beaten by 4 goals to 1. Players come across towards this near side, and those fans that are still here applaud their efforts. Steve Cooper leading the applause to the supporters as well. He is not going to be a happy head coach tonight, because so much of that, after 11 changes, fell below expectation. Forest well below par. We should say that they had the chances. They created the chances. Sam Surridge on another day gets a hat-trick. Today he doesn't get one. He's put 2 over the bar from 6 yards out, 1 into the side netting when clean through, albeit from an angle. And on another day he puts at least 2, if not 3 of those in the net. They've had numerous other efforts on goal that have gone wide or been saved by the goalkeeper. But Blackpool were clinical. When they had a chance, it ended up in the Forest net. And it is they who go through to the 4th round of the FA Cup, beating Forest by 4 goals to 1. Steve Sutton.
Yeah, very disappointed. Very, very disappointing. I'm sure when you put the team sheet in, Steve Cooper thought this game he'd got every chance of getting through with what he had. Every player played in the Premier League at some stage in their careers. One of the pluses, I guess, is that Scarpa's got through 90 minutes under his belt. He looks like a player that can create chances, possibly if he gets into the Premier League team, then he may have that chance to shine, to give you something a little bit different. But no, well beaten today. As you say, Blackpool were clinical in their finishing. Forest, I just marked down, I think 7 or 8 good chances. Surridge had 3, Emmanuel Dennis had a couple,
Nico Williams
had a couple.
Save.
They've created them themselves, a couple of saves. They've got the goal. Blackpool have only had 2 more shots on target, so they've had 6 on target. But we've seen that before. It's just disappointing that they couldn't get it together quickly enough and for long enough periods. They had a good spell, or 2 good spells in the first half, where they passed the ball quickly and Blackpool couldn't live with them, and that was the secret. You've got to pass the ball 1 touch, 2 touch, which is what you would expect from Premier League players, not to have half a dozen touches. And as soon as you get up to the edge of the box and you have 4, 5, 6, 7 touches, everybody's back. All the spaces are then closed down. That's where you need you 1 touch, 2 touch, and that's why I'm looking at Scarford, because he was the one that played it in and moved, but the players around him couldn't pick him back out, or weren't looking to pick him back out. His pass and movement in and around the edge of the box looked like good movement. And if he can be find good players around him to give him the ball back, then that might be a different case for him. But very disappointing at the back. I think they've given Blackpool 3 goals from defensive errors, and just not good enough on the day.
So not good enough at either end. Is kind of what we're saying.
Absolutely. I mean, this harks back to 3 years ago, possibly, when it was exactly the same. They couldn't buy a goal at one end and they couldn't keep a clean sheet at the other, and the bit in the middle was all right, but we thought we got past that a little bit. If this had been Premier League opposition today, you'd say, well, okay, away from home, then you sort of take it on the chin a little bit, but that's very, very difficult to take today, I've got to say. Very, very difficult to take.
How much, I wonder, will Steve... I mean, I'll ask him in a bit, but I wonder how much a performance like that tells him about the players that are not, at the moment, in his Premier League first team. I mean, you looked at some of the games where they've played before earlier in this season, in the League Cup, for instance. He makes 7, 8, 9 changes, and a number of those players impress enough to then be in the Premier League team the following week. This is in stark contrast to that. All of these players trying to get into that Premier League side, and none of them have really done themselves any favours.
No, I don't think anybody's done themselves any favours in there at all. It's been an arduous day for them. I think, if he's honest, he'll look at the team and he'll go, well, that's why I don't pick him. That's why I don't pick him. That's why I don't pick him. Now, that's why he's on the bench every week, because maybe he didn't do all right. But that's why these players can't play every week, and it's a harsh reality that you have players that last year were outstanding. This year, the next step at the next level, it is too much for them, and when they actually asked to come and play back at the level they were last year, because they're not match fit and because they're not playing week in, week out, it tells on you. It is hard for a team to come together for one game, and it's been proved time and time again, and will be proved in the future from every club that tries to do it. But there's still enough out there to go and win this game, and so I think they'll be very, very disappointed.
Yep, that was a horrible trip to the seaside as far as Forest are concerned, on a cold and a wet and a damp day in January here on the seaside, in the shadow of the Blackpool Tower, as the vocal stewards begin to just tidy up the what is now an empty stand here, where the Forest fans started leaving from pretty much the second Blackpool goal, which came after 26 minutes. 26 minutes of the second half. Steve, Forest have got to pick themselves up quickly ahead of a League Cup quarter-final on Wednesday night.
Well, I'm sure Steve Cooper would have had that game in mind, because that's 2 or 3 steps nearer to a final. So maybe some of these players were rested with that in mind, and then I think it's Leicester on Saturday.
Leicester in the league, yeah.
So Wednesday, Saturday, you can get away with, so he's sort of sacrificed this game a little bit. Let's see what happens, but I think it will be a far stronger side out against well, it'll have to be against Wolves.
Can't see too many
night.
getting another chance, can you?
No, I can't.
Marvin Ekpiteta after 16 minutes, Ian Poveda after 64, CJ Hamilton after 71, and Jerry Yates after 86 minutes. Forest's own Yates, Ryan, in stoppage time, getting one back. But it doesn't change the fact that Forest have gone crashing out of the FA Cup to a side in the Championship relegation zone. It's finished at Bloomfield Road in front of 8,750. Blackpool 4, Forest 1.